What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Swaggy Vet Podcast. I'm your host, Big Pen. I got my co-host with me, First Swaggy Vet. What's up, my brother?
What's going on, Big Pen? What's going on, Swaggy Vets, all our friends and family? How y'all doing out there?
Hey, man, before we get started, you see the drip? You see the drip? I need y'all to go to swaggyvets.com for hats, shirts, tumblers. We got it all, man. Go to swaggyvets.com. All right, let's get into it. Man, we got one of our boys from Bragg. One of our really good boys from Bragg who's come on so he could tell his story. Did amazing things in the Army. Now he's doing amazing things in the civilian world. So without further ado, y'all, we're going to bring our boy to the stage. Staffs are retired. Joe Cyrus. Welcome to the show,
brother.
What's going on, Swaggy Vets? How y'all doing, man? I'm happy to see y'all.
Man, I like that drip you got on too. That's clean.
Hey, this is first generation Swaggy Vet.
Hey.
First generation, fresh off the shelf. Ain't no shipping and handling over
Gen
here.
1.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you had it before anybody had it.
Straight off the shelf, off the production line. John can tell you.
Yep. Well, man, we appreciate you coming to the show. Being an amazing patriot of the military. Now you're doing big things outside. But before we get into all that, man, we need to know what came about? How'd you join the military? And you from Trinidad.
Yeah, my boop, Trinidad, you know. John used to think I was from Africa, but I have to set him straight on that real quick. Who this little African dude in the unit? Think he about to run some things. I'm from Trinidad. What part of Africa that is? I'm like, it's not Africa.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I mean, so born and raised Trinidad and Tobago, you know, Lavantil, Trinidad, to be more specific. One of the toughest parts of the island. Grew up pretty poor, but had good family, good neighborhood, really good foundation. And my mom, after my grandmother passed, you know, we got a visa to come through and come to the U.S. So we did that, and I got here in 2003. Ended up, you know, going to Brooklyn because most islanders either go to New York or Florida. So I ended up in New York, and I had just graduated high school in the Caribbean. Now that I'm here in the U.S., they're like, oh, you got to go back to school for like credits. And my brother was supposed to graduate that year. And they ended up putting him in the 9th grade, and they put me in the 10th grade. What? So here I am in high school in the 10th grade. I'm 18 years old. And I mean, it was tough. Went from living in an attic to living in the basement. And just, I'm talking about when the rain fell or like the snow melted. And I get out of bed, we're stepping into water. So, you know, when we know it's going to rain, we have to unplug everything and all that. And it was just, like I said, coming from the Caribbean, even though it was a little bit rough, it was nice. Warm weather, had our own room. Everything was nice. Now I'm sleeping in in the living room. It's a 1-bedroom basement, and me and my brother out there. So it was tough. And the last thing my dad told me before we left the Caribbean was take care of your mother and your brother. So, you know, my mom was a nurse. She came to the U.S. None of that stuff was valid anymore. So she was, you know, doing little home health aid jobs, and we were legit struggling. Okay. And I was going through school one day, saw the recruiter, and I was like, hey, man, what can you do for me? And he's like, what you trying to do? I'm like, I'm trying to do something. And I went to the recruiting office. He was Haitian. And I mean, that was it from there. And I told him, I don't care what you got to say to my mother. Don't mention war because it's going to freak her out. Just get me out of here so I can be able to take care of them. And I got here April 2003. I was off to boot camp March 2004. Okay. And that's where the whole thing started for me.
Man, that's when we was deploying hot and heavy too.
And I didn't care.
Yeah. What were they telling you on basic training that, you know, everybody, we had Iraq kicking off, we had Afghanistan kicked off. What kind of advice or anything was the drill sergeants giving y'all in basic?
I mean, so I went down to Fort Knox for basic training. Just straight males, no females at all. And while we were down there, they were making it very clear, very obvious. Hey, more than likely, this is wartime. You probably gonna end up overseas. When I was at the recruiting station, they offered me airborne at the recruiting station. I'm like, what's that? And they like, yeah, so you get to jump out of airplanes. Where would I end up going? They're like, 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg. I'm like, where's Fort Bragg? North Carolina. I'm like, oh yeah, send me there. And the reason, it's not a good reason, but this is my honest to God reason. I enjoyed the P.D. Pablo Raise Up video. So when I heard North Carolina, I was like, oh yeah, send me to North Carolina, because I used to walk around with one pant leg rolled up.
Oh man,
that was my style. So when I just wanted to go to Fort Bragg, but I knew for a fact I was going to go to war at some point in time, and I didn't care, because my whole thing was, like my father said, take care of your mother and brother. And I was in a position to be able to do that, and that's all I cared about. I grew up in the Caribbean. I grew up in Laventille. I'm used to, neighborhood wars and shootings all the time and stabbing. So this is nothing to me. So basic training was easy. AIT was easy. Things that people were struggling with, carrying water jugs and the long rucks and all that type stuff. I used to walk 8 to 10 miles home from school every day except Friday. All the books on my back. We used to have to fill 255-gallon drums with 5-gallon buckets, go out to the standpipe, fill it up, come back. That was a normal thing for us twice a week. So doing a water jug carry and all this type stuff, it was just like, I've already been conditioned to all of this. I've trained for all of this. The only downside for me was the snow. I couldn't handle the snow.
Oh yeah. I could. Did you get used to it in Brooklyn when you first got there? Or what time of the year did you get to Brooklyn?
I got there in April, and when I got to New York in April, we actually got to see snow one time before everything lit up, and I was fascinated by the snow. Saw the snow, I was like, oh, the stuff you see on TV, go make snow angels and have a snow fight. That shit got old after like 15 minutes.
Yeah, my hands are numb. My
hands are numb. I was excited to see my breath, out there. It all went out the window real quick, because then they never show you slush on the TV.
No,
they never show you all the aftermath, and you can't park, can't get out. And I did not. I had to run to school in the snow sometimes, waiting on the bus, number 35 bus, and all that. It sucked, but I had to get used to it, especially in the basic training out there, doing qualifications. Oh yeah, I almost met my end out there. But if it was for the drill sergeant and like, hey, they used to make fun of my accent, because John used to make fun of my accent, but they used to make fun of my accent way worse. And it's just like, because I couldn't say 3. Everything like 1, 2, 3, like it's 3, motherfucker, 3. Like I'm saying it, drill sergeant. They're like, no, get down. And I used to get smoked all the time, bro. But I enjoyed it, and they helped make me even tougher than I was,
Man, we had this. One of my drill sergeants was Jamaican. And he had a really thick accent, and I swear every week he was like, I'm from the islands. He said, I used to smoke ganja. Now I smoke privates. Get down.
That's a very Jamaican thing to say, yo. That's a very Jamaican.
Hey, I couldn't help but to laugh. It was so funny, man. But it was funny. Now, so you kind of didn't get acclimated to the weather in New York when you got to basic, and you're like, it's still cold. I can't handle it.
Still cold. I'll be honest. I don't think I ever really got acclimated, and I later found out that a high possibility that I was anemic, which just kind of made it align more. But I used to just think I was soft. Like, so I hated every single run. When you come out, you got full winter PTs on, and you got that first arm like stripped down to shorts and short sleeve. I'm like, come on,
man.
But listen, I know what I'm here for. If everybody else is doing it, I could do it, and I just got to suck it up. I didn't like it, but I had to suck it up. And that's it.
Yeah, in Delta Company, we'd be standing out there, and then the first sergeant would come out wearing full PTs, hats, gloves. He'd come out there with shorts and t-shirt. I'm like, come on. It's 18 degrees out here.
First Sergeant Finch used to love to do that, man.
Yep, First Sergeant Finch was a big one. We had First Sergeant Bernie. This was back in 01, 02, and yeah, he used to love to do that to us. I'm like, come on, man, it's cold. But you know what? Once you get to running, it's no big deal after that.
After, I was still dealing with the before. And I remember at least 2 times at Bragg, we came back, and I'm talking about my hair was white with frost. Like I hated those, man. I hated it. But again, my pride wouldn't let me fall out of a run. That's the only thing that kept me going, my pride.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Your pride in that you used to run track in school.
Yep, you sure did.
I mean, I was being held back because I had to run with shoes on. But yeah. And y'all already know, like, stuff used to get serious. People, we used to do the races out there on the field, 782nd, right. And then it's like, oh, Cyrus. I'm like, okay. And it's like, with the shoes on or with the shoes off? Like, shoes off. Everybody's getting burnt once I take them shoes off.
Hey,
everybody
man, running,
can get it.
Hey, running was a big competition in the 782nd.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my first memories with you, John, because you were like, man, you can't run. You ain't gonna do nothing on that PT test. I'm like, John, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man. That PT test, I remember marking it down. I hit 120 push-ups. Ooh. I hit like 99 sit-ups, and I hit an 11 something on the run. And you was like, oh, he fast. Little African got some speed.
Oh man,
Cyrus. I don't even know why I used to pick on you so much.
It was fun, and I was small. I mean, I'm still small compared to you now, but y'all gave me a lot bigger than I was back then, man. I was just fast, but y'all, deploying with y'all, working out with everybody, you, Cosby, Penn. I'm just like, I'm little, bro. And everybody just big as hell. I'm just like, I gotta get big.
Well, you weren't afraid to challenge neither and compete.
I was foolish.
Now don't get it twisted. Now Penn was a runner. He was a great runner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to be. Not now. I barely run to the bathroom now.
I can't let off the pedal, man. As much as I want to sit back sometimes, I just can't let myself go.
I got an elliptical in the garage. I do that, and then me and my wife, we go walking every morning. So that's like, spend time together. So we do our walks in the morning, and then do some stretching. And I hit the gym, 3, 4, or 5 times a week.
My God, you sound 60.
I know, man. Dude, believe me, I feel it. About to be hey, but tomorrow's John's birthday. He turns 40.
Big 40.
Big 40.
Oh,
that's
man.
Right.
Yeah.
I just said 39 a couple on the 26th of August, and I'm just like, I feel something. 40's coming.
Yep. Hey, they say even a whole new tax bracket here and a whole new age bracket.
Time waits for no man.
Yep,
Not at all, but it's a blessing, though. It is a blessing.
That's right. That is a blessing, man. Appreciate the shout out, Penn.
Yes, sir, man.
So what happened after that, man? Did you how'd you find out about airborne school?
They just straight up, at the recruiting station, they like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I'm like, the reason why I did airborne, and again, it's going to sound petty. My mom has traveled all over the world. She's done she had a really adventurous, like, up and coming before, having me and my brother. And I'm like, my mom never jump out of no plane. Hell yeah, I'm gonna go airborne. I'm gonna one up my mom. And that's really my, other than the money, but I'm like, I bet this would be a story that my mom can't tell, because I know she ain't about to jump out of no plane. So I like sign up for airborne. They gave me that bonus money, and I get to go to North Carolina. Hell yeah. So I did it. Like, no questions asked. I would have did air assault on the spot. If I had known all the things out there, I would have done Halo if they offered it to me at the time. I wasn't afraid of nothing. I was dealing with near-death stuff all the time back home. So what is this? And I'm getting paid? come on, man, run it.
That's
Run it.
crazy. It's crazy all the opportunities that we had in the military, right? And now that I'm out, I feel like the civilian world is boring.
It it is.
I mean,
It
like y'all
is. It
not,
depends on what
you
you
know,
do.
yeah, I know. It's like going the day to day operation just be so boring compared to all the stuff you could have dreamed about in the military, man. You felt like you could do everything.
Dude, I'm a senior computer scientist. If you think your life is boring, I have 3 monitors that I'll be like, oh, which side do I want to go to? Okay, what I gotta figure out. And let me start. Like, that's my life.
Is it like Groundhog's Day for you?
It's not always, because when stuff go down, hey, stuff is going down. When something, we don't really have deadlines because I work in a research lab. So we're working on R&D stuff, trying to build out concepts sometime is actually a bit challenging. And, one thing I do like about what I do, I am never the smartest person in the room. I came into this game late in terms of getting into the IT field. So there are people 10, 15, 20, 30 years of experience. I could catch on to what they're saying, but a lot of times their way of thinking and the concepts and the things that the technologies that they've been exposed to is just so beyond me. I have stuff to learn every single. Thank goodness the job that I came in, it was big on people that really didn't know much that could be taught. And I'm like, well, shit, that's me. So it was a big thing for just to be able to learn and grow, because, hey, as much as I hate just being indoors and, being in front of a computer and, in a chair, I do get to go work out. I do get to challenge myself every single day, not on a physical aspect, but as an intellectual aspect. So I'm very thankful for that.
What about your schedule? Is it kind of like a 9 to 5, or sometimes you got to burn some midnight oil?
That used to be my schedule in different regards. So right now things are very, relaxed. We have a flexible schedule and we get 50% telework in my particular pod. So it's a really nice work-life balance. But before this job and a bit earlier on, I used to do 2 full-time jobs, leave from the Mark Center and just get enough time to go from the Mark Center to the Pentagon, start the other shift. So I was, gone from home about 18 hours. And that used to be my thing. At one point in time, I used to go from the Pentagon to the White House, because I used to work at the White House, executive office of the president, while working at the Pentagon. So 2 to 10, I'm at the White House, leave the White House, 15-minute drive to the Pentagon, start working at the Pentagon from, 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the morning. Head home. There was a high school right across the street from me. Go over there, run my 2 miles, maybe hit the gym, something quick to eat, go to sleep, get back at it again. Because I couldn't afford to sit down and not maximize my time. Just working 8 hours a day was not an option. I got things to do, got things to accomplish. I need to make it happen. So that was just the grind. And that was, probably the grind from 2019 up until 2021, 2022. Yeah.
Wow, that's a crazy schedule, brother.
It worked out well. And I still had time to, do PT, maintain my fitness. And the only reason why I stopped, or I had to stop, was when I got diagnosed with the lung cancer and I had to start doing the chemo.
Yeah, man, that's crazy, bro. Doing that grind, did it kind of prepare you? Do you think it kind of set you up for what you're doing now?
It did, because it helped really just bolster my resume. I was getting so much experience in so many different things. And, when I got out of the military, I had my secret clearance and I started working at the Mark Center. I was actually living in Georgia, got out, and I came up. I was taking my car to New York and I started dating a girl. And I stopped here to see her, make the relationship official, and also go do my interview. Did the interview. It was great. Then I drove up to New York, dropped off the car for my mom. They called me, hey, you got the job. I flew back down to Georgia, packed up my stuff, drove to Maryland, started working.
Hey.
It was weird having to wear shirt, tie, instead of wearing my
I know.
uniform all the time. I had to learn how to dress corporate, which was a bit of a hurdle at first.
Yeah, I will say this: people in uniform. Whenever we'd have these function where you come in civilian clothes, and I see some people, I'm like, dang, I would not think that was their style. You get a lot of surprises.
You could see the difference in maturity level in the ranks on a civilian day.
Yeah.
You know, you got the officers dressed in their khakis and their slacks and like the button-up shirt. And then a lot of us lower enlisted look like a music video with the Jabos and the Jordans and everything else. Then you got the NCOs that, you know, might have the lacrosse shirt and all. It used to be interesting to see different personas outside of uniform.
Joe, talk about Ranger School and SF. You wanting to do that stuff?
So my want to go to Ranger School stemmed from my second deployment. When I left Bragg, I went to Fort Lee, Virginia, and in Fort Lee, I wasn't even there a good 2 months, and I got selected to go on a special operations task force to go support special operations, you know, back in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be at Fort Lee, so I'm like, absolutely, when you need me to go. I did have one roadblock at the time, which is I wasn't a citizen and I needed a secret clearance. So, I mean, they're like, you need to get this done. And I was expedited through the process. I think I was a citizen like probably 2-3 months later.
Nice.
And then I got to go on this deployment. And while I was out there, you know, getting to be with all the special operations, the 3-letter agencies, the special forces guys, Rangers. I got to spend a lot of time with the Rangers, working alongside them, seeing their 3-month rotations coming in and out of the country while we're still there for a whole year.
Yeah.
I got to go to some outlying stations and hang out with the SEALs and see how they were living. I'm like, regular Army is not really for me. I mean, I enjoyed the 82nd, and this was a faster pace. This is where I need to go to. So right away, I was like, as soon as I got back, I already had my Ranger packet like started, ready to go. At the time, it was Master Sergeant Towns. He was, you know, Ranger Regiment. Sergeant Major Towns right now, Command Sergeant Major Towns, and his son is in regiment, which is pretty amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
But, you know, he inspired me and several other of those guys. So, I mean, I did the packet. I was waiting on my date to go to Ranger School. That Friday came, went to S1 to get my packet to leave, bags packed. Hey, man, you can't go. Prior one assignment came down. You got to go to Fort Hood, Texas to be in Patriot. I'm like, what? And it was because when I was in AIT, I did a identifier course, Charlie 9, and it's a few of them or a few of us in the Army that are trained to work on Patriot missile system antenna masses.
Oh, wow.
So I just happened to fit the billet and I was qualified. So they, you know, blocked my orders to go to Ranger School. And now I got to go to Fort Hood. And I deployed with those guys. You know, it was probably the worst deployment I've had because it's not front lines. It's not, you know, engaging the enemy. You're the punt returner.
Okay.
And there ain't no ball coming unless somebody fires the ICBM. And we ain't seen none of those in a long time. So we just sat back there in Kuwait. And, you know, fortunately, when I got back, I was able to go to selection. And the train up for selection was amazing. It was intense. I think I was in the best shape of my life. I remember taking a picture after like a long rough march. It was my birthday. And I'm just like, I was impressed just with my physique. And, you know, I got a picture in the pool in Kuwait training up for the German proficiency badge. You know, just like I was just prime Cyrus. If I could pick a time to rewind to, 27-year-old Cyrus is it. And I went to selection. It was me going to selection was challenging myself. I didn't know if I was good enough to get it done. Just like going to Ranger School, I wanted to challenge myself. I never got the chance to go to Ranger, but I did get to go to selection. And selection was a breeze. It was easy. It was exciting. But in part, it was my mindset. I'm not going to fail. And 2, I did so much training leading up to it. I was physically and mentally prepared. The only thing was not knowing what to expect. But again, if they could do it, I could do it.
Okay.
And I just need to stay in the top 10%. And that was my push the entire time.
Awesome.
And made it through range, made it through selection. Standing there in that formation, waiting to see who gets through and who doesn't. And unfortunately, I got paired out. So
What?
back to regular Army.
Get out of here.
It was okay because, I had discussions with my mom about it. And I told her I had to do this for myself to see, prove to myself that I was capable. And she really didn't want me to go down that path. And in part, I went down that path because of anger and some of that experience overseas, Tate's passing. And while I was overseas working hospital detail, they brought in a little girl who was thrown into a fire by one of her parents. They had the stigma against having daughters over sons, and it was just an angry parent. And seeing that little girl burnt up like that, I mean, it really pissed me off. It hurt me to the core. And I'm just like, I had a good childhood. I had a good life. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Evil prospers when good men do nothing. So I'm ready to be one of those people that goes meet evil head on. And this was, my way to do it. Go to selection, go to Ranger school, become one of those people that go bumping in the night, bring the fight to the enemy. So, but I got paired out and my mom asked me not to go back. So I respected her wishes and just kept on tracking.
How was so if it was what was the hardest part about selection for you?
The hardest part for me was the Rock March, in a sense of speaking. And it's not that the Rock March was difficult. You didn't know how far you were going.
You're talking about the trek at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, that trek sucked.
You didn't know how far you're going. You didn't know where the end was. And it was that mental game that just messed with you. Like you're just going. And there was two people that stood out to me at selection. One guy was a former Olympian, and I'm talking about he broke the record for finishing the trek at selection. Like when I talk about fast, I was in the top 10%. When I saw this guy coming back, I knew the turnaround point was close. Bullshit. There was about 2.5, 3 miles to the turnaround point. He had about a 4-mile lead on the top 10%. Like he was moving. And I also got to experience selection with dude used to play for the San Francisco 49ers, Glenn Kofi.
Oh wow.
So he left playing football and hey, I'm gonna join up for the military. So it was like a second 50. Y'all remember 50? He was built like 50 and he ate like 50. But that trek was, I think everything else was easy. It was simple. But like I said, I was prepared for it. Anything they threw at me, I was ready to take it because before I break, 90% of these people got to break before they get to me.
Did Kofi get selected?
He did.
That's good. That's good stuff. Heck yeah. Dang, man. I did. I remember we were talking about it a couple episodes ago with Barboa and about the rifle and log PT. that was a smoker, man.
It was intense, and we did that at Fort Hood twice a week in pre-selection training. When everybody else is getting there at 6:30 for people start driving in at 6 o'clock, getting ready for first formation at 6:30. We were already there at 5:30 in the morning and started doing PT. Yeah. So I mean, they were already taking it to us back at Fort Hood. So whatever I had to meet there, this is secondary to me.
Absolutely, man. So dang. Then so you went back to the 82nd after that, or you went back to Fort Hood?
I had to go back to Fort Hood, finished out my time at Fort Hood, and then went on to Fort Stewart, which was my last duty station.
How many deployments did you have?
3 deployments. I like to say 2 and a maybe, because I did 2 to Afghanistan and 1 to Kuwait. But I think the 1 to Kuwait helped me, establish a lot of relationships which actually helped me out later on in getting me to where I'm at right now.
Where are you right now?
I'm working as a senior computer scientist at a 3-letter agency. So when I was in Kuwait, the whole time that I was in the military, I did combatives. I liked mixed martial arts. I always fought. And in Kuwait, I got to be a combatives instructor, training. I think we got to train over almost 500 people in combatives and certified in combatives level 1 and level 2. And it was a young lady who I met in Kuwait and certified in combatives level 1 and 2 who gave me the call up here and just, hey, you still working in IT? You still in the area? She's like, send me your resume. And that's how I ended up where I'm at right now. Like when they say sometimes it's not what you know, but who you know.
Oh, absolutely.
That's 100% true.
Right. Man, so you went from 3 deployments, SF's getting selected at SF.
Well, paired out at SF.
You still got selected.
Yeah, you got selected. They wouldn't have paired you, bro.
Yeah. And then you worked at the Pentagon at the White House.
I went, first job was at the Mark Center, which is like an extension of the Pentagon, one of its outlying things. Then I was at the Pentagon. And then I had 2 jobs at the Pentagon. I would literally go from 10 to 6, then go upstairs and work 6 to 2 in another pod. And then I got in at the Pentagon, at the White House, and I did both of those. Then I was at Dahlgren Naval Base and the Pentagon, and then NGA and the Pentagon at the same time.
Man, you couldn't work with Trump right now. He would have asked you for your birth certificate.
So when I was at the White House, it was under Trump's administration. I was there for the Black Lives Matter protests and all of that. And so I do have a funny story about being at the White House and all that, in that I was in the White House itself, helping set up one of the offices that the president goes to, and he was actually coming through. So, right. You've got to stand with attention and all that. And, when he's actually coming through, and I'm finally getting to see him, and I'm in one of the side rooms and the Secret Service is passing by, and there he is. And I'm like, he's not as orange as he looks on TV. But he's actually a big dude, like 6'2".
Yeah.
And what was some of the most unforgettable moments from your military career?
I mean, so I'm gonna go with a few positives first, and I'm gonna hit you with the probably the darker side of things. First deployment, leaving Bagram, heading out to our first outpost, Wazikwa, out there in Wazikwa, and we're on the helicopter. Everybody's chilling, just vibing, got your headphones in, and mid-flight, all you hear is and the gunners start shooting, and it's like, oh shit, this is real. We are here. Like, I was just up, excited, and I don't know if you all remember Sergeant Tarchinsky. I was out there with him. That was my platoon, my section sergeant, and we're unpacking our bags. As we're unpacking, the building shook, just boom, dust and everything coming out. And we grab he's like, get the fuck out the building. And we grab our weapons and we start running out. And everybody else that was with us that just got there, came outside, weapons up. And everybody who's normally the regular fobbers, they're just walking around like normal. And we're like, oh, it's outgoing, guys. Don't worry about it. Like, there ain't no alarm or nothing. Like, you just start firing. Like, I mean, we came out ready to shoot, and everybody else was outside like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. That was probably one of the first things that woke me up. Like, we are actually here playing video games with Sergeant Tate. When we went out to that outstation, it was me, Tate, Gomez, Sergeant Brisky. That was like the team. And, I mean, we would get attacked, pause the game, go outside, shelter for a little bit, come right back inside and pick up the video game. And, Tate was like a big brother to me. Y'all are like big brothers to me, but I got to spend a lot of time with Tate one-on-one. I used to work in the MKT with him and just, losing Tate was probably one of the most impactful things for me coming up, and it makes it more so just the time that I got to spend with him and interacted with him and just those memories. That's some of the most memorable stuff to me. On the darker side of things, first time rolling out the gate, went down to the Pakistani border, hung out there for a night. Tiny fob, you could throw a baseball across the entire thing, and it wasn't wilderness. It was one of them small ones out there. And on the way back, I got the LT with me. I'm lead vehicle. We got an Afghan National Police or Afghan National Army as our lead escort, and I'm like, hey, we gunning, and we're hauling ass behind them, and they hit a corner, and as they hit the corner, fucking truck blows up. And you just see dust, and I'm like pulling the brake, and just the civilian that was catching a ride to the next town, his body is on the back of the truck. That little frame that runs up the side is going through his back, coming up through his chest, and his head is hanging off, looking dead at me. And I'll never forget that. It's like I've seen people killed before, I've seen death before, and all of that, but being out here and seeing that happen, I don't have dreams about it. I don't have nightmares or none of that, but that stays with me all the time.
Yeah.
But on a positive note, first on Smalls, y'all guy.
Biggie.
I got partially paralyzed on a jump when I was at Bragg. I had a real bad landing, lost my lift, and I grabbed onto the person's parachute. That's what saved me from having a complete failure. So they landed good, and I burnt in a little bit. And I ended up, neck brace, body board, took me to the hospital, in the ambulance, all that stuff. And I'm not going to lie, I was afraid to jump again. And I'm there at Green Ramp. I told him, I said what happened. I didn't want to jump. And, he came, spoke to me. He's like, hey, Troop, you got to get back on the horse. Got to get back on a horse. And he's like, matter of fact, I got you. You door jumper. I'm like, what? And
come again.
I just want to be in the top. I just want to be in the first 10. I hate being in the rear, but I definitely don't want to be a door jumper. And he put me as a door jumper. And he stood me in that door, man. And my legs is locking up. And I'm like, no, come on. And the light turned green. And I'm seeing the lights green. And I'm like, he didn't say go. He ain't hit me. Come on. Where's the hit? Where's the hit? And that man cocked his hand back and hit me so hard. I didn't even jump out the plane. I just fell out. He hit me so hard, man. I just went out the plane. And it was like that right there. Yeah. Most of my great memories are just at Bragg, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Quick pause.
All right, man. So now you're dealing with stage 4 lung cancer, man. Walk us through that. How'd you find out about it, and how you dealing with it?
It's going well, as well as I guess it can go for somebody being stage 4. I didn't know much about lung cancer before this whole thing. I knew of cancer and what it does, but I had to get a little bit intimate and get to know about it a lot more. But for me, I was, going about my regular day all the time, running my 2 miles, exercising like usual, just going about my life, working my 2 jobs. And I was driving home one day, got a phone call that my brother's best friend had died. He's like my brother. We grew up in the Caribbean together. And as I'm driving, I started scratching my chest.
What?
And I developed a cough that day, on the spot. And it never went away. I was having difficulties breathing. And it was 2 months later that, the cough is still there. I would have difficulty breathing at night. And then I'd kind of be fine the next day. Or when I had difficulty breathing, I would go for a run and then I'd be fine. So every time I started feeling a little bit down, I go for a run. And my girl finally said, you've been having this cough, for weeks now. You need to go to the hospital and get checked out. I'm like, I'll be fine. I'll drink tea, go for a run, whatever. But she's like, no, stop being a guy, go to the hospital, get looked at. So uh, I I was working the Sunday shift at the Pentagon. I got off at 10 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the ER late. It should be fairly empty. When I went in, they, you know, checked me out. I said I'm having respiratory issues. They don't play when you say respiratory issues. So they, got me in the back really quick. They started doing their test. They're checking my lung capacity, and then it was that night. They said, "You, you have a significant amount of fluid surrounding your right lung."
Mm.
And I'm like, okay. And then they did like the X-rays and such, and they said like your right lung is like almost completely collapsed. It was
What?
that much fluid like around and I was like, what do you mean? Like I was just running. They didn't understand because like he's so young and don't smoke, don't eat a lot of meat and all this type stuff. And like, I told him I just went for a run the other day, and they're like, you shouldn't be able to breathe like you're breathing right now. So they ended up draining the fluid around a big needle, go up in my back, drain the fluid, and it was pretty much a full IV bag of fluid that they
No.
drained. And I was able to breathe a lot easier. But had to fast forward until Thursday because I like I said, I went in on Sunday night. I didn't get out of the hospital until Friday. And it was on Thursday that they came to realize after doing a lot of testing, checking different things, that they discovered that I had lung cancer. And when the doctor came in, I actually got to go see him tomorrow. I do scans every 3 months, and then I got to go check in with my oncologist. Very cool dude. He came in and he's like, well, so we figured out what's wrong with you, and it's come to find out you have lung cancer. And I'm like, lung cancer? Like, that don't make no sense. I'm like, if you said brain cancer, I could understand that because I'm a little slow, but lung cancer? And he was just like the most dead look on his face. Like, is this dude okay? And I'm like, okay. And I just took it for what it is. And I really didn't ask him. He's like, you got any questions? I'm like, not really. Like, I don't know what to ask you. Like, you said I got lung cancer. Okay. And
What's
it
that?
was the next day, because then my girl started asking me all these questions. I'm like, I don't know. Like, he told me I got lung cancer. That's all I know. She's like, what stage is it? What all that? So I had to get coach from her, like to take notes and then what to ask him. And so when they told me it was stage 4, again, here I am. I'm like, stage 4. I'm like, God damn, I would have stage 4. I'm surprised you didn't say I got stage 5. I would be the first person to gain that shit. So again, he's looking at me kind of crazy. And I'm like, well, I mean, it is whatever it is, we got to do. Like, I'm game for it. Because he asked me, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to fight? I'm like, all my life I had to fight. I can't get this dude to laugh for nothing. But I did a few rounds of chemo, and I'll be honest in saying this. Chemotherapy is no joke, bro. Like I've done a lot of shit, done the selection, the train ups and all that. Chemotherapy exhausts the shit out of you. And I could walk up a flight of stairs. I'm exhausted. I used to go to the gym religiously, and during the chemo, I was still trying to go to the gym. I just couldn't.
You didn't have the energy.
I didn't. And I was doing the 2 jobs at the time. So even driving from, NGA to the March Center of the Pentagon, once I got there and I logged in, I was shutting down. I was like this, like taking a nap and shaking. It was really bad. And that's when I had to step away from the other job and just, do one job. Like, it was a matter of health and just my well-being. It's not something that I wanted to, but my parents, my family members, they're like, you got to slow down, because I was going full steam. And it just kind of made me take things a bit more serious and put life into a bit more perspective. But I also understand what it is that cancer patients go through. Like, I'm glad for the experience that I got to get to know, like, the chemo, the drain, because they talk about, you could sympathize with somebody and all that, but you don't really know until you walk a mile in their shoes. And I would still say that I'm very fortunate because I only had to do it 3 times. There are people who have done that time and time and time again. And the only reason I'm so fortunate is because they found mutations in my, like, I have genetic mutations. So I was able to take a daily pill, and that's what I kind of use to help contain it or, manage it. But it just, I had to also change up my lifestyle very little, because I didn't smoke, didn't drink, didn't, do all this other stuff. But I had to, the sugar consumption, I had to scale back on the sugar, and just, a lot of things, just more herbal remedies. So
I
that
heard
that that's what's
I heard dandelion root's real good.
dandelion root, sea moss.
Mhm.
I have something here called lung root, bladder. I had a lot of soldiers and a lot of friends who like just started pouring in a lot of support and information. And so when I found out and I was in the hospital, I actually went on Facebook, on Instagram, and I put it out there that I had the cancer. I'm saying it like like it's another the cancer. I let it be known that I had cancer, and uh, the reason why I did it is because when Chadwick Boseman died, none of us knew what happened. I never knew the dude, but it hurt me,
Yeah, yeah.
and I know I got a lot of people that I'm close with and all that, and I just felt hurt that he passed, and we didn't know anything that he was going through. We would have showed some love and support. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to keep this a secret. I'm gonna just make it very transparent. And I got a lot of outpourings of love, support. People came to see me. We had a little get together. um, it was really nice, and it also helped me connect with other people, finding other service members, young cats who actually had cancer as well, or have cancer and are fighting it. So we always check in with each other, and have that little community and support, trying to help each other through with different things. So I'm just glad I didn't keep it a secret.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How did they really find out, or I know how they found out, but where did it come from? Did they say how you
It's
got it?
definitely from the military.
You think
Um,
so?
if I could, I mean, I ain't been out the military but so long,
Mm-hmm.
and to be stage 4, it didn't just like, it takes time to build.
Yeah.
So in all honesty, I think it was my deployment to Kuwait, working with the radar for the Patriot missiles,
Mm-hmm.
because the radar system radiates. Like they
Oh
say,
wow.
don't be in front of it. After leaving the sand and all that stuff in front of there is it's no good. And I would be out there working on this equipment, whether it's on, off. Like, I got a job to do. My main purpose is to maintain the generators on these missile sites.
Yeah.
So if I had any suspicion as to where it came from, it would be there, or, and I highly doubt it, on my first deployment, being in Zormont with those burn pits and stuff like that. But I mean, I can't say anybody else has popped up with it. So that's the only real place that I could think of it being. But it had to be over my time in the military.
Okay. That makes sense. Working around radiation.
Or something that radiates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something that radiates. Yeah.
So, what advice would you give veterans regarding their health and take care of themselves?
Listen, go get checked out. Go, take your health is your wealth. That's your top priority. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, your mental health, your physical well-being, because what we do is physically demanding, and it takes a toll on your body, it takes a toll on your mind. And I've always been about my physical well-being and healthness, and wellness. And I'll tell anybody, just don't be hard-headed. Don't be that hard-headed guy, and something's hurting or something doesn't feel right, go get checked out. Go find out what is wrong or what might be wrong, and just work on your physical and mental well-being. Because I've seen too many people, in my opinion, that have committed suicide. Too many people that once they get out, they just let themselves go. Like, you gotta maintain. You gotta do something to keep yourself in tip top shape to the best of your ability.
Heck yeah, man. That's good advice.
Right. So now you said you transitioned to IT and you're a senior computer scientist.
Yeah.
Correct. So
Yes.
what led you to that? Was you always good at computers?
I would
What
have to say
inspired you?
I would have to say I was always interested in computers and interested in computing. When I graduated high school in the Caribbean, 16 years old, um, I had never touched a computer before in my life. And when I graduated, I went to a trade school. And in the trade school, we actually got to, introduction to Windows and the internet and stuff like that, third world country. And I picked up on the class really quickly. And shortly after that, I was actually teaching, introduction to IT to adults. The teacher would pay me to $100 to teach the class, which was, a lot of money for me back then. And it was a come up, better than nothing. So it started with that. And once I came to the US, came into the Army, I was a general mechanic. But on the first deployment, they gave me the Sam's box. So now I have my own computer I got to carry around doing all the ordering because they were short on clerks. And then on my second deployment, that's when I started going to school. A young lady that I was deployed with, Sergeant Anderson at the time, I think she's Chief Warrant Officer Anderson now. She was the one that like, hey, you need to go to school, Joe. So I signed up while I was deployed and started doing, getting my associates. But the day that we got there on the second deployment, got to Bagram, they didn't have, she was the clerk and they needed somebody else as a secondary clerk. And they're like, who here is good with computers? Go in the office. So now I got an additional duty. I'm ordering. Then I'm working at the SSA. I'm working as a mechanic. I'm working as a wheel mechanic, AC mechanic, in the AC shop. So I just was fortunate to be put into roles where I always had to interact with computers or set something up or work alongside some comm folks. And it just kind of built from there. And when it was time to go to school, I didn't know what to do initially because they didn't have anything IT related for an associate's. So I'm like, just give me something. And I did whatever, business administration. And when it came time to pick something in the IT field, there was so many things. I'm like, something cyber. And I just took whatever course was and got my bachelor's in information system security.
Nice.
And once I got out the military, it was like, can't stop here. I got to build myself a bit more. And I went to school for my master's in cybersecurity management and, just built from there. But I was already at the Pentagon and the Mark Center working. So a lot of time when I was at work, especially on the night shift, when things slow down, I was doing my college courses, getting my master's degree. So
that's what I'm talking about.
Just trying to, and it started all the way back as a PFC and a specialist when they say, do your correspondence courses.
Yep.
I had maxed out my correspondence courses as an E4. And then they came out with the new system and I went and maxed it out again as an E5. So I just had that indoctrinated in me to prepare yourself for the future now. Start putting in the work now so you don't have to be rushing to get it done then. So that was just my mindset. I mean, I'm still considering going towards my doctorate.
Why not?
It is the cancer and everything because they said, focus more on family and wellness. So I kind of just scaled back a little bit, but I'm still very much considering going for a doctorate. The question is, do I want to put that much more stress on myself? It'll be good though. Dr. Cyrus.
Heck yeah. It'd be cool, man.
I don't think I'm gonna be making any more money, but it will sound good. Hey, put some respect on my name. That's doctor.
Yeah, doctor. What do you so for veterans preparing to get out, what you got out 2018, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't too long ago. What advice would you give veterans getting out now? What do you think is the most important thing about getting out? Transitioning to civilian life.
Take advantage of all the courses and all the resources that they offer you before you get out. Mm-hmm. Don't just pass go and just try to collect that DD-214. Make the most of everything that they're offering. You could be, taking courses and programs, I think as early as 6 months before you get out, and to prepare yourself to transition, because I went to a job fair, a training fair before I got out. And that's where I learned about New Horizons Learning Center. And I signed up for their program. I got out on a Thursday. I was in their classroom the following Monday doing IT courses. And I think I signed up for like 7 different things.
Oh, man.
Net Plus, Security Plus, everything. But I went in with the wrong, I had a misconception that when I go in and I do this week-long course, I'm getting this certificate. I'm thinking I'm going to come out with all this wonderful stuff. Hell no, it's just a boot camp. And it's going to take a lot longer to learn this stuff than a week. So, asking the people who are in the field and doing the stuff, they're like, Security Plus is what you need to land a job out the door, like a good job. So myself, most of the people I was there with, we were staying in hotels. It was like, once we get out of a class, studying Security Plus, either in the lobby, in the pool, Security Plus, and then we go, party, whatever it is. But we would be in other classes and, taking the notes, and then on the side studying Security Plus. And before my 8 weeks was up, I also did an internship so I could, hands-on with computer stuff, setting up the labs, doing different things. But before I left, myself and about 5 other people from those classes that I was with, we had our Security Plus certification, and that's what got my foot in the door, in addition to my clearance.
So having that Security Plus on your resume is really good in the cyber world.
It's a good start. It's a good place to get you in the door, CompTIA-wise, because it's, again, I came from Army 8 weeks ago into, boot camp, studying, got this certification. That certification and my secret clearance were basically the things like, you got the clearance, you got the cert, come on, we could take you. And that's where most people start in the IT field. A help desk, tier 1, tier 2, I'm talking about without college. So, somebody that's want to get started, something simple, that's a good way. I'm helping a lot of soldiers transitioning right now, help get their IT career started. My plan is to start a business, to help soldiers transition, get their Security Plus, and be able to put them into an entry-level job, because sometimes it can be hard. You got to figure out the whole system. I want to help them get from green to IT. That's my aim, and something I would like to get done. It's not off the ground yet, and I'm working with individuals one by one coming out, and helping them with their resume, helping them focus on which IT certification to get them started, to put them in the best position. And I've been able to help a good few people get themselves off the ground and, get some things going.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I think my biggest success story is my girl. She was working at Cox on the help desk. And I worked with her uncle at the Pentagon. And he was like, my niece is trying to get into IT. And I'm like, can she talk to you about it? I'm like, oh, yeah. And, talked to her about it. I told her what she needed to do. I helped her with some study stuff. I ended up meeting her, as a thank you. She wanted to take me to dinner. And I was like, God damn. So I ended up dating her, and she got her certification. And she went from, straight civilian working at Cox on the help desk to TS, SCI, Poly, making 6 figures in under 3 years. So, I mean, it can be done.
That's awesome, man. That's good stuff. My son he's a senior this year, and as soon as he graduates, he wants to go to the Air Force to do cybersecurity. I told him, hey, get that TS clearance, get your certificates, you can get out and make some good money.
Listen, I keep telling this to my sons, and I say this to anybody. I said it to my cousin. His mom, his dad, they retired Navy. And this kid, he joined the Navy, signed up for a cybersecurity job. He's getting his clearance. He's getting all these certs already. This dude get out in 2 years. He get out at the age of 22 and walk into a 6-figure job. And I keep telling my sons, I want you to be able to do at 22 what I wasn't able to start doing at 35.
Mm-hmm.
It would, if I was making the money that I'm making now back then, they probably wouldn't be here. But I would probably have made a lot more bad decisions, but I would have been probably a lot better off financially. And I'm just trying to help them, get themselves up and going sooner than it took me to get here.
Mm.
So Cyrus, you had mentioned earlier, like you was about getting your was your doctor's degree,
Yeah.
and that because of cancer, you was going to slow down on that, not necessarily give up,
Hmm.
right? So what is your so how do you plan now with to focus on your family and your health more for the future?
Oh man. Um, so that's interesting. Um, and I gotta take you back a little bit. I got this place. I was living here by myself for a couple of years. Me getting this house and a lot of things that I have going on was like me finally achieving my long-term goal from when I first came to the US and joined the military, because I knew I had to set up the family home. So December of last year, when I got my house, I told you a story about, when I surprised my kids with the house and everything like that. And I wanted to be able to get a house and give them their own rooms and all that before they turned a certain age. And I pulled it off because, I've been gone a lot. I was away most of the time. When my first son was born, 30 days later, I deployed. My second son was born, 20 something days later, I was deployed. So I missed the first year of both their lives. I've been away from my kids the majority of their life. And once I got out, I just wanted to be there for them more and, play a bigger role. So I moved very close. I moved to Virginia and, I was just an hour and 15 minutes away. Their mom called November and said, I need you to get the kids. And I'm like, okay, I got the infrastructure here. My brother ended up getting out the Navy July of last year. My brother's here. My mom retired from nursing um, November of last year. My mom's here. So uh, my dream and my goal of setting up that family home,
Mm-hmm.
that the the point is here and everybody's here right now. I mean, my brother got his own place in Virginia Beach, but everybody's under one roof right now. And I'm really getting to spend that family time that I didn't get before, the thing that I was longing for and hoping to achieve. So I'm just, trying to make the most of the time that I have with my family and just enjoying them because, I mean, it's something that I've been longing for a very, very long time. And I have it. So I'm just making the most of it. I'm not going, put more stuff on myself that would take me away from them.
Mhm. Man, it's good stuff, brother. Man, I'm glad you had so many trials and tribulations, brother. For you just to overcome them all is just inspiring, man. So I do appreciate you for coming on the show as well and sharing your story with Swaggy Vets, brother.
Hey man, I'm very very glad to be here. You have no idea. I was like, I thought I'd be on season 2 or earlier in season 1. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like Mike. I'm just waiting for the call. I'm just waiting for the call.
Hey, so maybe if somebody has some questions for you, Cyrus, where can they reach you?
So I mean, you could reach me on Facebook. Joel Payne Cyrus on Facebook, Instagram black_ghosts_of_Sparta. That
Mm-hmm.
goes back to our 82nd days. 82nd Airborne Spartan,
Spartans.
and
Yep.
you could reach out to me on email, joelcyrus26@gmail.com. I'm here to help anyone trying to get their foot into the IT door, or if it's something to do with cancer, anything, physical fitness. I'm still training folks there at the job. I got a small team that I train with. I'm just here to help and give back as best as I can. I just want to, for the people.
My boy Joe says, cancer who? Nah.
Hey, listen, and I'm gonna be very serious when I say this. I sat down and I spoke to my cancer, and I'm was like, look, if I die, you die. So it's in your best interest to not kill me anytime soon, bitch, because I'm taking you with me.
Taking you with me.
So we have a good relationship. It ain't messing with me too much. So I'm like, hey, listen, whenever you're ready, I'm ready, bitch.
Well, you got anything in closing, brother?
Man, I just want to say, I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here still. Got to thank the Most High. I want to thank y'all for your friendship over the years. We got to reunite at John's retirement ceremony. That was really big.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the oldest, between me and my brother, and having guys like y'all in my life, to be around y'all, help inspire me, help me to grow. I had good male role models. You may not think of it that way when we were coming up, but I had some good, solid role models, and y'all pushed me to be a better person, to be a better version of myself. And I'll always be thankful to y'all. I'm happy to see the Swaggy Vets podcast up and running, and it's successful. And I just hope to see many more big things out of y'all, man. I love y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We love you
We
too,
love
brother.
you too, Cyrus the Virus, everybody.
Cyrus the Virus.
Yes, sir.
You got anything, brother? Jay?
Man, I love you, Cyrus, man. I'm thankful that you're still here, brother. You still got many years to go.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
welcome you to the Swaggy Vet team.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
always.
we gonna have you back on when you're in remission, so you can tell your stories again.
I mean, technically, I'm in remission right now.
That's
Okay, there
right.
you go. Well,
That's why
good.
you're on here.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna come back down for another workout, John. You know I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
I know you will, brother. Now, how about I come back up?
Hey, come on up. And listen, I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I never admit it in front of you. You be doing some long ass, horrible workouts, and in my mind, I'm like, when this motherfucker gonna stop? And I'll just be in there hanging there, like, as soon as you stop that rowing thing that you did with the bike,
Yeah.
I'll be hurting, and I'm like, I ain't gonna quit. I ain't no bitch. I know as
You
soon as you say stop,
never quit it.
just breathe. Just breathe. Don't show no weakness. Don't show no weakness.
Yeah.
You always, yeah, you always was a fighter, Cyrus. Always, man. You never quit.
I got to. All my life I had to fight.
All right, brother. Thanks again, man. All right, everybody. We're gonna see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Take care.